and we welcome you into the Spotlight on this Friday. Thanks so much for joining us. My name is Drew Brent, and if you're in the market to buy or sell your home, give us a call today. It's 479-968-5668, or you can cruise on over to RussellvilleLiving.com. I've introduced our guest so many times she requires no introduction. She basically owns the show now tied for the most appearances on the show, Miss Danielle Housenick, Main Street Russellville Executive Director, and basically co-host of the show at this point.
I'll take it. I'll take that title for sure.
You become a mainstay. It's kind of nice.
It's fantastic. I love it.
Now, Josh Dunbar, though. Josh Dunbar, River Valley Food for Kids, was on the show. As we record this, he was on the show yesterday.
Yes.
And he had some words. He said, listen, I want the title. I want the title. I mean, you're both tied for 8 appearances apiece. What are y'all going to do about it? We suggested that you go American Gladiator style, the Q-tip battle. Are you down?
Well, I have a little news for Josh Dunbar.
Right.
I don't have, an extensive amount, but I do know some Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Oh my God.
So I have been known to choke somebody if I had to do it. And I mean, I don't think he wants to fall in that category.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. So here's you're never going to believe this, folks, but it's going to be a WrestleMania kind of event downtown at sundown between Josh Dunbar and Danielle Housenick. I pay money to see it. We're going to put it on pay-per-view. It's going to be over the top.
It's a fundraiser.
It's a fundraiser. Main Street Russellville and River Valley Food for Kids can split the profits. It's not going to be a winner take all because nobody wins, but yet also everybody wins.
Exactly.
Hey, it's good to see you here in 2022. I think this is the first time you've been on this year, and there's a lot happening. A lot of things that are coming up, a lot of things that, as we kind of move into the COVID normalcy, unfortunately,
yes.
that's what basically, I mean, it's kind of normal now. So we've got a regular schedule. I'm assuming there's a lot happening.
Yes, there really is. And we have done everything we can to keep everything safe. We want to still provide opportunities for people to get out of their house, to, experience downtown, support local business. You always run into a neighbor or two downtown whenever you're down there. So what we are doing, most of our events really are kind of focused on the outdoors, which is perfect anyway, because
right.
Russellville's got such an amazing atmosphere outdoors. And we have that beautiful park down there across from the depot. So most of our events, really, they're just completely outdoors. And, we are excited because I agree, we need to have some sense of normalcy.
I want to talk a little bit about some behind the scenes stuff that I've never asked you about. Now, you and I have talked about it, but we've never talked about it on the show. I don't know that people who attend events like Downtown at Sundown. Now, we talked about the planning that goes into it and how much goes into it. But specifically, the Downtown at Sundown lineup is coming out soon.
Yes.
It's coming out soon.
Yes.
Talk about the logistics of putting that together.
Okay, so it's funny because this is my favorite event. The concerts, I mean, it's hard. It's like picking a favorite child, which I could never do. But the concerts do just, the atmosphere, the crowd, it's so much fun. And of course, we've always had amazing musicians, local and from outside of Russellville. So that's one issue, is trying to figure out who we can get and who we want to get. Typically, we like to try and get a variety of music styles. This year, I think we might be a little heavier on some of the country, but the concerts we had last year with Nick and Sam and Ryan Harmon, that was one of our best attended concerts. So I really feel like that's what people want to hear.
Yeah.
And if we can find the talent and we can bring it here, that's what we're going to do. It's killing me not to be able to reveal who we have because we've just got some amazing people, but I'm still waiting on some signatures, so I don't want to put anything out there and then have to disappoint people.
Yeah, walk it back. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but yeah, one thing is really just trying to figure out who we want, if we can afford them, if the date will work. I mean, sometimes we have a little wiggle room on dates, but sometimes we don't either. So That's a big part of it. I mean, just that kind of logistical. And it's funny because most of the time it'll be like absolutely nothing. Like no one will get back to me, or and then all of a sudden the floodgates will open, and it's all of like 5 people are like, yeah, we want to come play.
Right. All at the same time.
Yeah. So, but I've been really encouraged at the response from musicians that do want to come to Russellville. It's definitely a confidence booster for me, and I really feel like our community should be proud too.
I think so too. And one of the things that I wanted to point out too was you said at first we have to figure out who we want to get. And that, I think, is harder than what most people really would think about, because you not only have to come up with a list of people that you would think would draw a crowd,
right,
but who would fit the culture, are they available, how much do they cost, because musicians don't work for exposure, folks.
And
they need to pay. They need to be paid, and they pay their mortgage this way, and so let me ask this question: what's the process of how do you decide who you want to bring in?
Well, one of the things that I will do is I will look at some other venues, some places in Fayetteville, Little Rock, even Conway, and see who they have. We've also looked at other festivals, like some of the smaller festivals that happen around here, and kind of get a feel for like, okay, is their name in the letters that are this big, or is it like that big? Because the bigger the letters, the less likely we would be able to afford them. So that's a few different ways. Sometimes we will have people that will say, hey, you should really have XYZ come and play. That's not a band. I'm just saying for example.
I love XYZ. Love that.
But yeah, like you should have them come and play. We do try to bring something different, and we try to bring something that you're not used to seeing. For example, like I said, we have a lot of amazing talent, and they sometimes already have a way to showcase their talent. And so we try to look at, okay, who do we have that might be still kind of local, but maybe isn't playing local, or might have roots in the area, kind of like we did with Nick and Sam.
Right.
So there's a lot of considerations. One thing that I want to make sure, and hopefully we can do a whole show on this, I am going to apply for the Levitt Amp Grant again.
Yes.
And when we get that grant, we will be able to do 10 concerts, which will be, it's fantastic because I won't have to make as many choices. I can just say yes to everybody.
Now, talk about that a little bit, because you applied for that grant last year, I believe. Was it last year?
Well, last year they did not have one. Because of COVID, they carried over.
Okay, but we've applied for this before, and it was a voting process, if I remember correctly.
Yes. So what happens is you apply for the grant, and then I believe you get chosen to be in the voting round, and we just vote, which last time we applied, we had the votes, but we didn't make it. We weren't selected by the committee or, whoever makes it.
Cersei got it, maybe?
Fort Smith got it. So yeah, I'm like, we're gonna get it. And they were the only other person or organization in Arkansas that had applied. So we kind of knew that if they got it, we wouldn't, because we're just so close together. They wouldn't put 2 concert series that close together as part of the grant process. But it's gonna happen. We have a lot more experience now with how to get the word out. If you voted before, you're registered, so you'll probably get an email reminding you to vote. So everybody just cross your fingers when the time comes.
It's funny too, because again, one of the things that I think is important for people to realize that we don't talk about nearly enough, Main Street Russellville is a nonprofit organization. And so the funds that get dispersed to pay for these events are not coming from some kind of, it's not coming from the city of Russellville. It's coming from fundraisers.
It is. We excuse me, we have a lot of amazing sponsors. I'm not going to try to list them because I would never, ever be able to remember them all, and I'd feel terrible. Yeah, so we have a lot of wonderful sponsors that just really love what we do, and that's encouraging. We have a lot of community support, but we do go for some grants and get grant money. The mural that is on the back of the Needing Hands building over by Stobie, that was paid for with grant money. We do different things around town with grant money that we get, and we're always looking for more opportunities because we can always find something to beautify,
right,
or an event to put on or something. So,
correct me if I'm wrong. You're going into year 4.
I am.
Year 4.
I know.
Does it feel like 4 years?
No, not at all. Not at all. In some ways, it feels, well, I mean, the pandemic changed time for everybody.
Sure.
It really did. I mean, I had a whole year where I still got to do amazing things, but I didn't get to do normal executive director things. So, yeah, it does not necessarily feel like I'm going into my 4th year, but, in some ways it feels like I've been there forever because
right.
It is, I mean, my position is like, you don't just come to work from 9 to 5. You really don't. I'm constantly thinking about like, what can we do? And just how can we market things? Who do we want for a concert?
Sure.
I mean, different things like that. And when I go out and I see things, I'm like, oh, can we do that in Russellville? Can we bring it back? So, I mean, it's more of it's a part of me. That sounds really cheesy, but it's true. It's a part of me. I'll never escape it.
That's a point that your husband brought up when he was on the show before Thanksgiving. One of the things he even wanted to talk about was, he's like, I am Danielle Housenick's +1.
Yes.
And so the question now, and I think we've touched on this before, but I think it's an even broader topic to talk about now. Like, this does encompass everything. I mean, it's a 24/7 mindset. So how do you balance the work-life side of things, the mom life side of things, the Main Street Russellville director side of things? Where's the balance? Have you found it yet?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
He is part of my balance, like you said. I mean, he has to do the same thing. I mean, he's a professor. That's, again, kind of a mindset. It's not just you walk out of his office or the classroom and leave it all behind. It's on your mind.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, we both can kind of relate and understand when it comes to work. And, when we have events, he's usually there if he can be. My girls are there, and usually like he gets to hear all of the trials and
yeah.
Like whenever I come home and I'm like, you will never believe what I did today. But yeah, it's exciting. And it's kind of funny because sometimes there are things that cross over for us. And this is kind of a fun thing that I get to do. Every once in a while, I get to meet with like Congressman Womack. And I'm like, hey, you've met my husband. And so it's kind of a funny thing or we went to a banquet one time and somebody from, I think it was Senator Cotton's, was there. And he was like, oh, hey, and it was like, yeah, that's kind of cool.
Right. So
Mm.
I'll just straight up ask you, do you consider yourselves a power couple kind of a thing?
I mean, what is a power couple?
I don't know. I was asking you.
I don't know because I don't really know how you define it.
And Valentine's
what's
Day,
power,
Valentine's Day is coming up this weekend. I mean, so it's a good question to ask.
I don't know. We're just us.
But
I think he mentioned this too. For a long time, when I moved here and when we've lived other places, if we're out in the community and we see people, they're all like, oh, Dr. Housenick, oh, is this your wife? And I've been the +1. And now I'm like, oh, this is my husband,
right.
This is Mr. Danielle Housenick. So,
right. There's a little bit of a balancing act there for both of you. And it's
feels
funny
good sometimes
because he brought that up. And I found it interesting because there's the dynamic there is really healthy for making Russellville better because it really does have to be a mindset all the time.
Well, and one of the goals that I really set for myself when I came into this position was for the community and tech for us to be kind of more involved and do more things together. We were doing really well with that before the pandemic. That kind of put a damper on things, but there are still things happening, and we'll get back to it once everybody's in a place where they feel like they can be really safe. A lot of organizations, companies, they're making decisions to keep employees, students safe. They're to the best of their ability, so I completely understand and do not envy the people making those decisions. But for example, we've always had, not always, but I've had 3 different interns from Arkansas Tech, and that just makes my heart so happy. I love working with those students, and working on getting a few more we'll probably have this semester. So there's still ways, but it's kind of neat. That's the roundabout way of saying that, I have a little bit of a foot in that world, in that, if I say to them, well, who do I need to talk to about this? Or, this person called me, what do they do again?
Right.
So, so that's kind of cool. Worlds collide.
Right. They always, especially in a small town.
Oh, yes.
Especially in a small town.
Yes.
I asked you about 4 years a few minutes ago for this reason, and that was take the pandemic out of it, which is going to be hard to do for this question. But taking the pandemic out of it, has there been something that's jumped out at you in this first 4 years that maybe you didn't expect or was particularly funny? Something that just jumps out at you that says, my first 4 years, I didn't expect blank.
Well, I can tell you that my first Fall Fest was a real wake-up call.
Yeah?
Yeah. I didn't, gosh, that's a really hard question to answer. I guess I didn't expect to be working with so many different people in the community. That's something I didn't expect because, city council, the mayor, other people, with the city, but then also like the chamber and nonprofits and, people at the state level and all that kind of different. There's just a lot of different people. Like I said, I do get to work with some politicians sometimes, and that's really fun. I enjoy it. I know not everybody does, but I do.
Sure.
But, as far as things being funny, the depot is a hoot. Like, Kristen and I, we really just, every day is an experience. I swear to you. We just have people that come in and say funny things, or, we'll be like walking downtown and be like, oh, what's that? Oh, it's a bunch of people walking around with sheets over their heads pretending to be ghosts. Okay, that's all right. They're cool. Keep going.
Right. I need to verify what it is that I'm seeing. Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
yeah.
Thank God.
We're like, okay. All right. Yeah. So, there's just some really funny things that happen. Sometimes people come in all the time and they're like, oh, do you have a schedule for Amtrak? And we're like, no, I'm sorry. We're not a working train depot. I think maybe one of the biggest surprises for me too, along with working with a lot of people, being able to do a lot of different things. Yes, there is event planning, but there's also, like I said, grant writing and, learning about different aspects of what I do, like, design things for downtown and different things that businesses can do. So that keeps it extremely interesting. It's like, okay, if you're tired of doing this, turn your head and there's something else to do in front of you. That's really, I'm trying to think of a good, funny story for you. I have one, and I hope I didn't tell this one already, but this is one of our favorites. We had a Santa event. This was during the pandemic. And Santa was supposed to be up on a fire truck in the depot parking lot. Santa got exposed to COVID and said, even though I'm not going to be in close contact, I don't feel comfortable. I don't want 100% understand.
Right.
And thank you. This was a few hours before the event. And so we were like lunatics running around trying to find somebody to play Santa, somebody who had a Santa suit. Then when we realized, no, but okay, well, let's see if we can track down a Santa suit. And then I was ready to get in that Santa suit because I was not going to let people be disappointed.
Right.
So it was just, I mean, and I am not even kidding to you. We found a Santa suit at Leonard's Hardware, of all places.
Thank God for Leonard's Hardware.
Right?
Honestly.
Oh my gosh. And they were an original downtown business. So that's kind of funny. But I'm driving to get this Santa suit and I'm just laughing in my car all by myself because it's like, what else do you do?
Sometimes you have to bow to the absurd.
Yeah. And now every single time something happens and, you know, we're discouraged or things seem really hard, I always just say, we solved the Santa crisis of 2020. We can do anything.
Right.
Because we literally pulled that off like in an hour before the event.
So is there a children's book that should be written that Danielle and Kristen Save Christmas?
There is, but there also should be an adult book too.
Talking to Danielle Housenick, she is the executive director of Main Street Russellville, and if you're looking to buy or sell your home in Russellville, you need to do it right here with Olathe Realty. Give us a call today, 479-968-5668, or cruise on over to russellvilleliving.com. Danielle, I'm going to put you on the spot, all right?
Ooh,
this is an on-the-spot question, folks, so she has no idea that I'm going to ask for this. There are a lot of people who get recognition for the work that they do at the depot. You and Kristen are rock stars. You guys make things happen. Are there people, and you might leave some folks out, so don't get your feelings hurt because I'll put her on the spot. Are there people who are behind the scenes or who do things that maybe people see, don't see, who don't always necessarily get the credit that maybe you'd like to mention?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, aside from myself and Kristen, well, like I said, we have some employees at the city that do things for us that are amazing. And these people, man, they have a lot on their plate. But boy, oh boy, we had our air conditioning go out quite a bit this last summer. But at one point we had water streaming from the ceiling and it was like 4:00 on a Friday. And I called the facilities guys that do that. And, you know, he's like, I'm on my way home. I'm turning around. I'll be there. And it was like, bam, they just pulled into the parking lot and went in and took care of it. And I was like, oh my gosh, you know? So people like that, it means a lot. I try to thank people as much as possible because, you know, they might have to do it. It might be their job, but they don't have to be as nice as they are.
Right.
One of the other groups I would definitely recognize would be my board of directors. And some of them I have been working with since day one. And so I'm kind of dreading whenever their term is expired. One of the people on our board of directors who does not get a lot of recognition is Patty McCutcheon. I don't know if you remember, but during the pandemic, we had a pie contest. We did a chili contest. Yeah. So if you saw the beautiful pies, like the pictures, that was all Patty. She showed up that morning and she had like placemats and just all these gorgeous, gorgeous things to stage these pictures with. And she is one of these people that, you know, if we're having an event and we're low on like lemonade, I'm like, oh, Patty, I don't know. What do we do? And she's like, I'll take care of it. And she comes out of the kitchen and she's like, well, I just found this and this and I put it all together. And there's people who will be like, oh, that's really good. What is it? And I'm like, just don't ask.
Don't ask the question. Yeah.
Because she probably can never replicate it. But she is such a problem solver. And she doesn't get the recognition that she deserves. I mean, none of them do. But she's kind of somebody who really is behind the scenes. You know, at every art walk, at Fall Fest, all the time. She's always there.
Outstanding. Can you believe that we're already out of time?
I can believe, because I could talk about this for 24 hours straight.
Well, you're now tied up with Dunbar. What happens now?
You said it. Showdown at sundown.
Downtown. The showdown at downtown is going to be Dunbar versus Danielle.
Yeah.
If we're placing bets, who wins? Okay. That look told me everything.
Well, before we run out of time completely, I do have to throw out some dates.
I would love for you to.
Events. Art Walk is back Right?
Woot.
So first Friday in March is our first art walk. There will also be one the first Friday of June and the first Friday of September. Then in December, we'll have our Holiday Glow event.
I love it.
Right? And so those are obviously pretty far out, but mark your calendar because it gets busy.
March is only, I mean, the first art walk is a month away.
Yeah. Yeah, not even.
Yeah.
Not even. We also brought back Movies in the Park.
Yes.
Super excited for those. I don't know all the dates off the top of my head, but I will tell you, and this is another one where you're making choices. So again, we looked through all the movies that are available and we were like, let's do a throwback. So we picked some good throwback movies. We've got The Nightmare Before Christmas will be our Halloween movie. We've got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the original one.
Wow.
And we're going to team up with the arcade on that. There may or may not be pizza involved. Just have to wait
Me and the
and
Game
see.
for Change guys may very well be front row for that one.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We should bring them in too.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one is the original Muppet movie.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so we
What a
tried to
great
go
lineup.
with like some nostalgia for the parents and maybe some cool things for them to share with kiddos. So that's going to be great. 4th of July, the fireworks are going to happen downtown,
Yes.
just like they did last year. We're going to have the same band, actually, the Backbeats. They'll be
They
there
did a great
playing.
job.
They were amazing. They were just super.
They were perfect for what the event was.
Absolutely. So they may just become our 4th of July band. And, the concerts are coming up. Like I said, I don't want to say too much about them just because we're still kind of.
The rumored names, however, guys,
It's going to be
unbelievable.
good. It's going to be good. And I have to say that not all of these musicians are my style of music, my preferred style of music. But oh my gosh, they are turning me into fans. I mean, it's unbelievable. I'm kind of like, okay, maybe I need to branch out. Super excited. That's the most of it that's coming up. Fall Fest, of course, will be in October. But Art Walk, like you said, it's less than a month away. So I really just wanted to throw that one out there for sure.
Danielle, we're out of time. Thank you so much. A lot going on.
Absolutely.
In Main Street, Russellville. There's a lot going on in the entire city of Russellville. And coming up next week, we're talking about that with Christy Graham. She's on the show. Rob McCormick's on the show. Caitlin Powell has a new album out. They'll all be here next week on the Spotlight, so you don't want to miss that. If you missed any of our interviews earlier this week with Dr. Gocher, Shane Jones, or any of our fine guests, including Josh Dunbar or Danielle Housenick, who's battling for the title of Spotlight King and Queen, you can go back and check that out on YouTube, Facebook, Vimeo, Spotify, Google Play, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. That is the Spotlight for this Friday. Thanks so much for joining us. Remember, if you're in the market to buy or sell your home, give us a call today, 479-968-5668. We will see you right back here on Monday.